So this is just a quick video on integers and the operations that we use with integers. So integers are all numbers, positive and negative. When we do add and subtract, the adding and subtracting rules can be a little bit difficult, but what you need to think about when you're adding and subtracting negatives is that you're thinking about, what am I actually doing? What operation am I using? So for example, if we're adding a negative, that doesn't really make sense. So if we're going to add something but then take it away, then it means that we're just going to take it away in the end. So if we've got a plus sign and a take sign right next to each other, that just becomes a take. So our working out is literally just 5 take 3. And I mean, you can do this in your head, but just for the purpose of this, I'll show you how to do it. So we do 5 take away 3, and that gives us 2. For example B, again, same thing. We look here, we've got -3 add -7. So we can't have a plus and a take next to each other. So we look at those two things, and a plus and a take make a take. So we've got -3 take away 7 now. So remember, when we're taking away, we move left along the number line, and when we add, we're moving right along the number line. So -3 take away 7, which means it's getting 7 degrees colder, so it would be -10. So that's a good way to remember positives and negatives, and especially when you're doing negatives, that you can think about it in terms of temperature or in terms of money, because it makes it a lot easier. So if we're adding, the temperature is getting hotter. If we're taking away, the temperature is getting colder. Then we move on to part C, where we have 2 take signs. So if we are going to take away and then take away a negative, we're kind of just cancelling them out and we're just adding. So what happens is the 2 take signs actually come together to make a plus. So we end up with 5 plus 3, which is 8. And then over in part D, not part C again, part D, we would do the same thing. -3 take away -7. We just add 7. So it's going to be -3 plus 7 this time. So again, we're moving right along the number line. And if we think about it, it's currently -3 degrees outside. If it's getting 7 degrees warmer, it means it's going above 0. So it's now going to be 4. Then we move on to multiplying and dividing. Now, the rules are a little bit different. So previously, with adding and subtracting, we're looking at what does the operation change to. So what operation are we using, plus or take? With multiplying and dividing, it's about what the answer is going to be. Is the answer going to be negative, or is the answer going to be positive? So, for example, we know that multiplication is just repeated addition. So if we've got 3 lots of -4, that's -4 plus -4 plus -4, which is going to give us -12. So if we've got only one negative, we end up with a negative answer. So again, if we look at part B, -3 times 4, that's -3 plus -3 plus -3 plus -3, and I've forgotten how many I've said now. So if I wrote it out expanding, you would see it like this. And you could see there that all of those things end up becoming a take, so we end up with -12 as well. The last one, however, notice how there's a -3 and then it's multiplied by -4, so they're both negative. That means we can actually ignore the negative signs and we just do 3 times 4, which is 12, because the 2 negatives cancel one another out. And I've just written there that this is about what the answer is, not what operation it makes. So a couple of dividing ones, same rules for division. If there is one negative, it's negative answer. If there is 2 negatives, they cancel each other out and we get a positive. So 10 divided by -2 is going to be negative, and then we just do 10 divided by 2, which is 5. Same again with part B, -10 divided by 2, that's only one negative, so we're going to put a negative. 10 divided by 2 is 5. However, when we get to part C, Negative 10 divided by negative 2, so we can cancel those out because that's going to become positive. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the ruling for multiplication and division is about whether or not the answer is positive or negative. Now, to know that, if it's an odd number of negatives, so odd number, I'll just put another little point here, odd number of negatives equals a negative answer. So what I mean by that is if you've got one number that's negative, 3 numbers that are negative, 5 numbers that are negative, then the answer will be negative. If it's an even number of negatives, then they're going to cancel each other out as you go along. So if there's 2, they cancel each other out. If there's 4, then you can cancel them in pairs and the answer becomes a positive answer. Whereas with the addition and subtraction, it's about what operation it makes. So are those 2 signs going to make a plus or are they going to make a take? And that's your basic crash course in integers.